The second thing, in the previous short video, I said about the first thing, things changing in a blink of an eye. Second thing is, you see a lot of work of people doing a lot of work about healing the inner child so that they make peace with their parents and they make peace with their childhood. But a lot of the same people have also problems and with their own children, and it's kind of history repeating itself in some form or another, obviously not exact, but they have kind of a number of hang-ups between themselves and their own children. Now, as it hit me today as well, the same way as you do inner child healing, why wouldn't you do inner young adult healing? Majority of people become parents at a very young age. So it takes a village to bring up a kid. Now, the village is no longer available. So these young adults are becoming the village for these kids. And majority of people that I know are actually doing the very best they know how. Then they judge themselves as they grow older. Older, of course, they could have done better, but as an older person, they judge this 20-year-old or 25-year-old or whatever year old or 15-year-old kid that they were when they had the child or children. That's unfair. If I sit and see my 50-year-old friend talking down to a 20-year-old mother and saying that her standards are not good enough and putting the 20-year-old down, I would bitch slap my 50-year-old friend. Because, of course, at 50 you know more than at 20. How can you even, you know? So this is what I see people do. They grow older. As older, they have regrets over how they've done things, and they forgot that at the time they couldn't do better, and they're very, very harsh with their own self, consciously or unconsciously. And their own children pick it up, and then the whole system of guilt, the same way as they had to work with their own, the parent, I say, working with their own inner child and healing their own inner child, and there are so many courses on rebirthing, reparenting yourself, and so on. And there is a forgiveness of self and a release of self on that. But there isn't such a thing for when you grow older, and it just kind of continues. The blame game kind of continues, and I'm just saying, if you are to work on your inner child, work on your younger adult self as well, and forgive yourself and cut yourself some slack. The moment you do your self-healing and your self-forgiveness, you will notice that the relationship with your own children is gonna change. Because right now, when there is conflict between the next generation, is the same resistance. So it's defense, offense, whether conscious or unconscious, and there is this constant push and pull and this constant um, drama that carries on in families, and like a war, an unspoken battle of power struggle. Um, But regardless of what your children have to accuse you of, if you do the work in really cutting yourself the slack and really totally healing and forgiving yourself as the young parent that you were, exactly as you did with your young inner child work, the exact same thing, um, your own children will come now and will try to again to push your buttons, but those buttons will no longer be there. And so it will not have anything to resonate and to bounce against. Therefore, the struggle and the conflict will end naturally, simply by your own healing, you healing yourself, forgiving yourself. A lot of people say it takes two to tango. No, it fucking doesn't. I actually tango and I salsa. One tangos, the other one follows. Okay? So there is the leader, the man generally is the leader, and the woman follows. It doesn't take two to tango, it takes one. So the same with inner work. You don't have to tell your children or your parents what you're doing. Do your thing, do your forgiveness, do your self-understanding, your self-acceptance. And you can do it through the retrocausality point of view. Your children have chosen your setup and your to be birthed through you, their spirit, um, before creation, when breath was given and life came into the cells that created the what later became the child. That's a choice of life. The choice of life, this which gives us breath, is the consciousness. Consciousness chooses where life comes and where it doesn't. This consciousness chooses parents and chooses a particular setup as a platform. Hence, I said in another video, there is no such thing as perfect childhood, perfect. Everyone is just a platform from which the next being is taking flight to their own self-discovery, to their own self-arrival, to um, their God self, and going back to their own self-realization if they choose to, or whatever, wherever their life takes them. We are nothing but a funnel of information, whether that information is a channel, a book, a child. Um, yes, I am putting it in the same pot because it's all energy. It's all inspired energy, and some takes embodiment, some doesn't. In the the physical this, but everything has consciousness of one level or another, and everything has a purpose. So the same way as we catch up the inspiration of a poem, the same way we catch the potential of new life. So from the retrocausality perspective, healing can happen instantaneously, in a blink of an eye, because it's just a shift of perspective. There is absolute purpose in absolutely everything that's happening, including our bad parenting or our bad childhood. So through retrocausality, if you just really think what it means, a future self, it's calling a set of events so that a number of people intermingled, interconnected in through life ecosystems get to their awakening of the. So through retrocausality, self-healing and the healing and forgiveness of another, it's instantaneous, because with this perspective you understand the absolute perfection of the whole game. So that's a thought.